This cracker didn't know that this was ELO. Does it though?
In the summer of 2019, I got to see my favorite band. After years of obsession and the lucky bonus of my partner getting the appeal of the group herself, when it just as easily could have gone the other way, I was going to do something that I honestly wasn't sure would ever happen.
This is like the first concert that I think I've, like...
You bought yourself, which I appreciate you buying my ticket.
I appreciate the beer.
Yeah, man.
I'm seeing my favorite band.
We're seeing The Who, Dylan.
And unbeknownst to me, as would be explained by the dude sitting next to me at the venue,
Hi, Doug.
it was a show that would feature orchestral accompaniment by local musicians in the area. This would mean that the bookending medleys for the operas, Tommy and Quadrophenia, would have the horsepower and resonance that those works deserve. You know, saying that sentence out loud shows me how wild it is that it takes a whole-ass backing band just to get close to the legendary power of Mooney and the Ox. Weeknights on NBC.
Jesus Christ.
There's a bittersweetness to the modern Who show, one that's perhaps most apparent during Won't Get Fooled Again, when the orchestra and backing band step aside for Roger and Pete. It wasn't until these touches were stripped from the stage that I was reminded. This is all that remains. Moon and Ox are long gone, and as fit and spirited as these two are, it's only a matter of time before the inevitable. When either of them goes, that'll be it for maximum R&B. And that fact can be heard in the music itself, a far cry from the stadium-rattling renditions of the song that they played in the early 70s through the early 21st century. In many respects, this is the Who song. An iconic meme, for sure, but above that, it's a live staple that speaks to so many people that it was actually Rolling Stone's #1 pick out of their entire catalog when they chronicled the group a few years ago. The revolutionary synth line, the peak unity of 4 technical masters, that fucking scream. By all accounts, it's one of the most emblematic and timeless songs of its time, but suppose you make it more timeless. Goodbye synths, goodbye bass, goodbye kit. Hell, not to harp on it more, but those last 2 things literally happened, even if suitable substitutes were found after their passing. But yeah, here we have it. Roger's still golden, yet raspier pipes, and the guitar. An acoustic one at that. No shredding or bending to be found here, though it being Pete, you're still gonna get some of that Jaegerdang. That's a Jaegerdang, it's a flamenco. Or whatever. This hurts. I don't have a pick. I should get a pick. This is what happens when you don't use a pick. We've gone from the classic 4-piece to the folk root of all rock music. It's surprisingly poignant to see this anti-authoritarian anthem, one that's usually attached to elaborate lights and lasers, distilled down to the songwriting essentials of Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Simon & Garfunkel, or Johnny Cash. Even lyrically, it has more of a kinship with those artists than one would assume with the usual pyrotechnics. The universal appeals to the listener at once embracing the tides of change while acknowledging their sometimes demoralizingly circular nature. The latter fact is even more potent with the passage of time itself. The world looks just the same and history ain't changed. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, and all that doomer-light prose that seems to crop up in our final decades of life. In this back to basics aside from the bigger picture of their concert, it's as if these rock veterans are reflecting on the past half-century, vocalizing solidarity with those who've lived through it and all its hardships, all while whispering words of wisdom to the coming generations. Wrong band, just fucking bear with me, alright? This underlying exhaustion of cracked idealism, coupled with the almost contradictory hope that we have the potential to be more as a people, is a reward that patrons would only really get by going to a Who show in the present day. Woodstock and Live at Leeds, much as I love them, are shadows of a mythical past. Flower Power and the other idealized youth groups have come and gone, as all cultural trends do once the honeymoon phase of personal liberty has run its course. Many of those shirtless hippies would go on to cut their hair and put on suits and ties, or worse yet, keep on the tie-dye while pretending like we don't see who they're hanging around with. And of course, the landscape of music has shifted with each injection of new blood, welcoming new sounds and fashions while ultimately never escaping the eternal struggle between art and commodity. And, more often than not, the latter wins out, further saturating the world with the vapid and the insincere and championing content for the status quo. But for every towering idol built in the name of the dollar, a scrappy circle of innovation and self-expression is able to go its own way. And it's these embers born of that constant flame at the heart of all humanity that give me purpose and hope for our future. Institutions of power and corruption continue to sap the earth of its innocence, but as long as that spark of passion, creativity, and empathy is there, we're not out of the fight.
This is probably the last impulse buy I'm gonna have for a very long time.
Don't stab yourself, don't stab yourself, don't stab yourself, don't stab yourself. Nailed it. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Man, that's so cool. It looks like a vinyl, it feels like a vinyl, but it's actually a metric ass ton of CDs. Look at all this epic nerdy content that most people wouldn't listen to, but because I love this goddamn band and I love this goddamn album, I'm gonna be chewing on all that for a while just to get a good feel of how they made this thing back in 1960... whenever this was. I'm free. It's finally over. I finished. Man, 2020 was quite a year, but no one could have told me about 2021's mid-FebWHOary leap year. Yeah, it is wild. Like, the cosmos is an amazing, confusing, terrifying place where some shit moves around in such a way that it extends the month of February to the length of 3 whole months. Isn't that wild? Yeah, so this took a while to get done, but it's finally done. I hope you enjoyed this. It won't be the last. I will be going against my own better judgment when it comes to acknowledging how well the modern themed month goes in the life of a YouTuber, but I love gimmicks. And, this is a gimmick that's going to last. I hope you enjoyed this Who-related content. As a sign-off, I highly recommend their newest album, just called Who, specifically the extended version that includes an acoustic set that they did last year on their very, very limited COVID-influenced tour leg. You can get a sense of the nostalgic and almost melancholy power the band currently has. It's just like this wholesome, sweet, old men playing power pop vibe that makes you appreciate the times that they've had, and the times that you've had, and the times that you will have. Anyway, there's gonna be more stuff not related to The Who, thankfully. It's coming soon. It's on its way. As always, subscribe if this did anything for you, and I hope y'all have a good one. I'll see you next time. I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do just one. Fuck. Gotta get it right. Hey.